What's the first word that comes to mind when I say Brexit?
Shite.
Problems. Magic stars.
Dumb. Yeah. Disaster.
Why?
It's just not been done well. The whole thing is just a mess. No deal has been agreed and nobody knows how it's going to happen, so everybody's kind of going in blind.
Brexit's for the rich. If you have money on Brexit, you survive. And if you've no money, it's going to be a lot more harder for you.
I was 18 years old when I went down to Dublin with a fistful of money and a cartload of dreams. Take your time, said me father, stop rushing like hell, and remember all's not what it seems to be.
Ierland is het land van pubs, vriendelijke mensen en prachtige natuur. Toch is dat tegenwoordig niet het enige waar Ierland bekend om staat. Steeds vaker worden Brexit en Ierland in één adem genoemd. En Brexit denkt aan problemen, Theresa May en maar wie denkt eigenlijk aan de Ieren? 1 op de 12 Ierse studenten verhuist naar het Verenigd Koninkrijk om daar te werken. Het heeft dus wel een impact op de Ierse studenten, maar wat is die impact nou precies? Ik praat met de Union of Students in Ireland om hierachter te komen. Andrew Ford is vicepresident Postgraduate Affairs en houdt zich, samen met zijn collega's van de Union of Students, bezig met het behartigen van belangen van studenten in Ierland en in Noord-Ierland.
For us, some of the main concerns would be around, firstly, peace and prosperity in Northern Ireland. That's obviously a very real and active concern. Secondly, would be the impact of potential border, whether that be a hard border or not, and the mobility of students being able to go travel from north to south. And then third would also be funding. Funding would be majorly impacted and has potentially been impacted by Brexit. So those three things, I think, are real concerns of ours that could impact on the day-to-day lives of our students.
Ford geeft ook aan dat het door Brexit voor studenten in Ierland heel moeilijk is om een route voor de toekomst te bepalen.
It's very hard to plan ahead. It's very hard for someone to plan their Erasmus, or it's very hard for someone to plan what routes they'll take on their masters or towards their PhD when there aren't definites yet. So there's an insecurity there which I don't think helps students or citizens alike. And it's my hope that sooner rather than later there's a very clear picture of what Brexit will actually be, and that what it will be in the best interests of students.
Na mijn gesprek met Andrew Ford is het tijd om met studenten te praten. Ik heb met 2 studenten van de Dublin Business School afgesproken in het park om te horen wat zij van Brexit vinden. Eerst even voorstellen.
Amy Fallon, 22. I study film and media, and I'm from Kildare.
My name is Killian O'Riordan. I'm 22. I study film and media, and I'm from Wicklow. I think for maybe students our age, it's not really on the top of our priority to think about. But in terms of because I know that Brexit just keeps on getting delayed and delayed and delayed, it kind of makes me worry, because the more it gets delayed, I feel like the more that they're not organised, and the more I feel like if it's not organised properly, I think that could affect us in a big way.
And how will it affect you?
Well, Irish and British history is kind of convoluted. It's very long. So obviously a lot has happened between the two countries. And I suppose with Brexit on the rise, it kind of makes me feel like that I'm going to go through what my parents went through. So in a sense that kind of makes me anxious. But I feel like for my everyday life right now, it doesn't really affect me. But maybe 4 years, 3 years down the line, we could see kind of a difference in kind of how our culture kind of operates and stuff like that.
And what do you think the difference will be?
As we've seen 2 weeks ago with that journalist being killed, whether or not that's the start of something, or that might be kind of, it's already gone too far, because it's one of those things where we went through 700 years of occupation, give or take. I'm not. This is the thing where people my age, we wouldn't know that much about it, but it's still very prominent in our families.
Killian heeft het over de tijd dat Ierland in bezit was van de Britten. Maar liefst 800 jaar leefden de Ieren onder hun bewind. Pas in 1922 vertrok Groot-Brittannië uit de Ierse Republiek. Noord-Ierland bleef van hen. Het bleef onrustig. Eind jaren 60 mondde die onrust uit in de Troubles. Dit was een conflict tussen nationalisten Degene die wil dat de Republiek Ierland en Noordelijk Ierland één werden. En de Unionisten wilden dat Noord-Ierland bij het Verenigd Koninkrijk bleef. Tijdens de Troubles was er een heel gedoe om aan de andere kant van de grens te komen. Militaire grensposten en verplichte legitimatie laten zien. Het hoorde er allemaal bij als je een kijkje wilde nemen aan de andere kant.
And I feel like Brexit, the big difference for us is going to be whether or not there's going to be a border. If there is a border, that it kind of splits our country up again. I don't want there to be a reason for Irish people to be racist towards each other again.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
But I know, like, even if you were to go north now, there still is a bit, like, I remember being in a pub once and it was still kind of touchy. You couldn't really see, yeah, like an old man's pub where you'd have, like, kind of regulars, I'd say, that just are still kind of in that mindset.
They were giving you like a side eye or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, with a border, that's obviously just going to heighten things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess it's kind of scary in a way. We just don't know how it's going to pan out.
Are you worried Brexit will affect your life as a student or as a graduate?
Well, now that I'm finished college, I wouldn't really worry about that too much. But I guess if I was to come back, yeah, I would worry about that and what it would affect.
Yeah.
As I'm not sure what would happen
Like
now.
if you wanted to go study in the UK,
Okay, yeah, I guess.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
If you wanted to go to the UK in general, we'd need a visa.
What?
Yeah.
It will get a bit more difficult if you want to study or work there.
Oh my
Maybe.
god, I didn't know you'd need like a visa.
You just went to London.
Yeah. So I just went to London on the weekend and it was so easy. Yeah, I guess. Oh
Wouldn't
my
be
god,
that easy
sorry.
anymore. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a little bit scary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
no,
just
yeah.
for students, like it's not that we're really informed about it, but like we've other things to think about. Like we've got studies and stuff like that, and everything's kind of been the same way.
Yeah.
So like you kind of take it for granted.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I feel like we're very relaxed type of people, and that we're very easy to get along with. And I would hope that Brexit doesn't affect that. That doesn't make us kind of more,
Upside.
and more kind of patriotic and stuff like that. Because I think we've done that, we've been through that, and now we're kind of in this age of like progression and like we're moving forward. So I would just be scared that Brexit might change that.
And do you think it will affect your future?
Definitely, I think it might, but not in a good way.
Yeah, well, we know for a fact there's going to be less money going around, so that means less funding, the economy is just going to be lower, and we're going to have a tougher time with it up here because we rely on all the money coming in from Westminster. So if there's less money for us, then there's just the economy is just going down and everything's going backwards instead of forwards.
I think it'll affect everyone's future, but whether that's good or bad is, it's up for debate.
God knows what'll happen when Brexit actually comes.
In het gebouw van de Irish Times in Dublin heb ik een gesprek met Simon Carswell. Carswell is journalist en expert op het gebied van Brexit. Samen met hem duik ik dieper in de relatie tussen Ierland en het Verenigd Koninkrijk en in de ongewenste gevolgen die Brexit met zich mee kan brengen.
Relations were very good and have been very, very good since the Good Friday Agreement. The Irish and British governments talked regularly. I would say relations were very good up until the last 2 years. I would say relations between Britain and Ireland have become strained because of Brexit. The British and Irish governments are still talking, but it has been difficult because the Irish border, has become the obstacle in the negotiations around the exit agreement with the European Union, between the UK and the European Union. And so that's put an unwelcome focus on Northern Ireland. And it's raised the border issue, which was, to many people, resolved or being worked on, and a resolution was kind of like a work in progress for 21 years. And suddenly it reopened all of those issues. I think there are concerns about what might happen, and the concern is that the UK politicians don't understand the border. We have a new generation of British politicians who have not lived through some of the issues that arose, are not aware of how the conflict came about, and are not aware of simple history, of the history of what happened on this island, the history between Ireland and Britain. And that's what's really concerned people, the fear that we could sleepwalk back into the Troubles. And so to have the potential for that to return is a real concern. And if it returns, it becomes a potential target. And as we have seen in Derry in the last number of months, the potential for violence to return is very much there. It's really slightly under the surface and could bubble up.
Do you think it will come up?
Well, my fear is that if it isn't handled correctly by the politicians, then it could. Yeah. I don't think anyone wants a hard border, but in the UK there is no majority for a solution to avoid that. So if you have no solution, the default is a hard border. And the risk is that if they cannot come up with a way of avoiding it, there is a real possibility that they may end up with it.
Are you scared that the border problem will come up again?
Yeah, I'm actually quite worried about that. I mean, I have an Irish passport, so I think lucky in that respect. But it's gonna probably bring more problems because we've already had the troubles here. It's probably gonna start something else. Just people are gonna get angry about it, and it's not gonna end well.
Do you think violence will start again?
I hope not. I mean, we've had like a surge. I mean, it's awful, this stupid like new IRA stuff. I don't think that's anything to do with Brexit, but like Lever McKee, I think tensions are very high in Northern Ireland at the minute. And putting a hard border on the south is just going to make things 10 times worse.
Mijn bezoek aan Ierland heeft mij duidelijk gemaakt dat een grens hetgeen is waar studenten bang voor zijn. Ze zijn bang dat het weer wordt zoals vroeger. Helaas, voor de studenten is er nog weinig duidelijkheid over Brexit en de uitkomst daarvan. Laten we in ieder geval hopen dat Brexit Ierland spaart en dat de geschiedenis van de Troubles zich niet zal herhalen.